Imagine breaking into the most secure building on Earth. A place guarded 24/7 by armed agents, surrounded by infrared sensors, motion detectors, and surveillance cameras that never blink. Now, imagine not just breaking in, but walking out with something priceless, something that once belonged to the President of the United States. Sounds like a Hollywood movie, right? But what if I told you this story actually happened? Stay tuned, because the theft I'm about to tell you about is one that shook Washington, embarrassed the Secret Service, and exposed shocking security flaws in the heart of America's power. This is the White House Heist. It started on what seemed like an ordinary summer night in Washington, D.C. The air was thick, the city quiet, and inside the White House, everything was business as usual. Staff were finishing their late shifts, security was rotating guard posts, and the president was away on a short trip. Everything appeared normal, until the next morning. When staff arrived for work, something was off. A small, glass display case in the presidential collection room had been shattered. Inside it, or rather, what used to be inside it, was gone. That missing item wasn't just decoration. It was a priceless piece of American history, a vintage gold pocket watch once owned by President Abraham Lincoln himself. Estimated value? Nearly $2.5 million. The discovery sent shockwaves through the building. Within minutes, the White House was locked down. Agents swarmed the corridors, the Situation Room went on alert, and the FBI was immediately called in. But what baffled investigators most wasn't just that something was stolen, it was how. There were no signs of forced entry. No alarms had gone off. No motion sensors were triggered. Every door, every lock, every camera appeared to have worked perfectly, at least on paper. So how did the thief pull it off? Over the next few hours, the investigation intensified. Every inch of security footage from the past 24 hours was reviewed multiple times. Agents traced every movement, every face, every card swipe. Nothing stood out, until one sharp-eyed investigator noticed something strange. At precisely 2:14 a.m., one of the hallway cameras went dark for 7 seconds. Just long enough for someone to slip through unseen. 7 seconds might not sound like much, but in a building like the White House, that's an eternity. The question was, who turned it off? The security logs showed something even stranger. An entry record from an employee who wasn't supposed to be on duty that night. His name was Ethan Cole, a maintenance contractor who'd been working there for months, mostly unseen, mostly unnoticed. He had security clearance low level. Nothing special, but it gave him access to restricted areas under supervision. The kind of job that didn't draw attention. When agents pulled his work record, the timeline didn't add up. He'd clocked in earlier than scheduled, and clocked out right before the watch was discovered missing. At first, they thought it was a mistake. But then, when they checked the access card history, things got darker. Ethan's card had been used multiple times in different locations at the same time, meaning someone had cloned it. Now, the suspicion shifted from maybe an accident to definitely an inside job. FBI agents traced Ethan's digital footprint. They found encrypted messages, unusual financial transactions, and most chilling of all, evidence that he had been in contact with an international black market collector known only by the alias, the Broker. It appeared Ethan had been planning this for months. He studied the layout, memorized the guard rotations, and even befriended some staff to learn when security systems went through their nightly maintenance reboot. During that short reboot window, a 7-minute period every night, cameras briefly reset. That's when he made his move. But here's where it gets crazy. Ethan didn't break in at all. He walked in. He was authorized to be there, wearing a staff uniform, carrying tools, and blending in perfectly with the night crew. He went straight to the presidential collection room, bypassed a single camera using a mirrored reflection trick he'd learned from an old spy manual, and disabled the display case's magnetic lock. He knew exactly how much time he had before the next patrol. Less than 3 minutes. He took the pocket watch, replaced the glass shard to avoid suspicion, and vanished into the service tunnels beneath the building. Tunnels few even knew existed. By sunrise, he was gone. When the FBI raided his apartment later that week, Ethan was nowhere to be found. The place was spotless. No signs of struggle. No laptop. No phone. Only a cryptic note left behind. Even the strongest walls have cracks. You just need to know where to look. That quote went viral overnight. News outlets called him the ghost of Pennsylvania Avenue. Social media turned the case into a sensation, with wild theories. Some said it was an act of protest, others claimed it was part of a foreign intelligence operation. But 2 months later, the truth finally caught up. In early autumn, agents tracking an encrypted dark web auction found something shocking: a listing for a historic 19th century timepiece owned by a US president. The description matched Lincoln's watch perfectly. Starting bid, $1.8 million. The FBI went undercover, tracing the seller through a web of fake accounts. The lead took them halfway across the country to a small town in Nevada. When they finally tracked the signal, it led to an abandoned warehouse near Reno. Inside, they found computers, security equipment, and hidden compartments filled with stolen government memorabilia, things missing for years but never traced.
And in the corner, sitting at a table, was Ethan Cole. When agents stormed in, he didn't resist. He just smiled and said, "Took you long enough." The aftermath was explosive. The story dominated headlines for weeks. How could a single man outsmart the most secure system in the world? It turned out Ethan had once worked as a cybersecurity expert before financial troubles pushed him into debt. He'd spent years studying security vulnerabilities, including federal building protocols. He knew how to exploit timing errors, electrical resets, and camera blind spots. He hadn't just stolen a watch, he'd stolen America's sense of invincibility. After his arrest, tighter protocols were implemented. The Secret Service overhauled their internal security system, upgraded surveillance to eye-driven monitoring, and introduced biometric verifications for all staff, even janitors and maintenance workers. But the scar remained. For years, the story of the White House heist became a symbol, a reminder that even in the heart of the most powerful nation on earth, human weakness can still open the door. And as for Ethan, he was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. During sentencing, he made one final statement that left everyone silent. You can build walls as high as you want, but the real weakness is always on the inside. Those words still echo through security briefings today, a chilling reminder that no system is perfect and no fortress is truly unbreakable, because sometimes the greatest heists aren't pulled off with weapons or violence. They're done with knowledge, patience, and the perfect moment of opportunity. So the next time you hear someone say, "No one can break into the White House," remember this story, because once someone did. Please subscribe to this channel for more videos.